the history, particularly around Tuskegee, you know, how the campus was built by the first students and things like that, and touring the campus. And there was, before there was an older, you can imagine what it looked like, sort of white clapboard chapel. That was the university chapel, or at the time, Institute, Tuskegee Institute. And the chapel burned down in the late 60s. And the university hired Paul Rudolph, who was an internationally known architect based out of New York at the time, to develop this new master plan and a new chapel. And this chapel was, I'll just say, the epitome of modern architecture. It was just so cool. And my mom worked next door on campus. And this is at a time when, during the summers, you know, you'd load up in the car with mom, she'd go to work, and then she'd kick you out and go play until 5 o'clock, and then we'd go home. And one of the things we would do, and the chaplain, who was Greg Chaplain Johnson, he was so wonderful. He's like, yeah, you guys, you just run around, because it was this soaring thing with cascading stairs and angled walls and multi-levels, and it was like a big playground. And he was like, yeah, just this is a space for the people. You just go play. I had never seen architecture like that. And I wouldn't say I was cognizant enough to call it architecture. I just knew whatever this is what I want to do. I think that's probably the genesis of my interest in architecture and design. And so, as far back as I can remember, I've only ever wanted to be an architect. Don't underestimate your capacity to imagine. Don't underestimate your ability to achieve what you can imagine. Because again, I think sort of the environment I grew up in, there was a very narrow frame of what life was and would become. All the other stuff is, I don't know if I would call them mistakes. I would call them reasons to pivot, kind of thing. So I'll put it in I recently did a talk at Virginia Tech in the last few months about, the title of it was Seeing and Being Seen. And what that is I think understanding how minorities and people of color are seen and how we see in this built environment. And one of the things that's always struck me, going way back to my college days, of when we look at the world as it is, the architecture that we know and understand, it's mostly built on a history for which most people of color were the oppressed, were the enslaved. So, you know, you have clients that talk about timeless architecture, and what they're talking about is something that's colonial or Georgian or built on something that is representative of a history that we probably would choose to change. And I'll just sort of one very simple example, and you just don't realize sort of the term we use day in, day out is master bedroom. Well, really, where does the idea of a master's bedroom come from? And it's just, we accept it and we use it and we take it. But so it's all baked in. The storefront for community design is about providing, in essence, the services that we do, the design services, to a population that otherwise would not have access to it. One of the things we do is, in the community level engagement, is working with neighborhoods, organizations to outline what it is they want for their community, right? So working in the East End or North Side with folks to say this is what our community ought to be, right? Let's form that, and then we can call our city, we can call our council and say, hey, we have a vision for our community, and here it is, because it happens. It's usually happening as a result of something. When a developer comes in or a project comes in and people get up in arms about it, it's like, wait, we don't want this here. It's like, okay, let's flip that and let's form the idea of what we do want. That's the way to go about this. And architects and designers and planners and contractors are all volunteers with this organization, and that's the sort of people we try to bring together in all these kinds of situations.